We're honored, of course, to have our distinguished panelists, as you noted, Mr. Chairman, and we've had, on the plus side, some opportunity to say thank you to some remarkable leaders, and today, this afternoon's panel is certainly no exception. General Casey and Secretary Guerin have been incredible leaders in an Army whose success story has been, first of all, a tribute to that leadership, but second of all, a real testament to the men and women who wear the uniform of the United States Army. And it's remarkable, in the midst of a war in two very different theaters, the Army has completely transformed its structure of the forces, adapted to the enemy and environment, and moved ahead with its modernization. And those are hard things to do under the best of circumstances, and obviously these have not been the best. They've been very challenging circumstances, and gentlemen, thank you, and please convey all of our deepest appreciation to those brave men and women who wear the Army uniform for all that they have done and continue to do in remarkable ways each and every day. 2 years ago, gentlemen, both of you testified before this committee regarding the Army's strategic initiatives. You, I felt, made it very clear at that time that the Army was out of balance. It was not a secret, not a surprise. You made it clear as well, as you continue to shepherd our way through those challenges, that it would probably take 3 to 4 years to reacquire that balance. And in the process, having the Army seek to achieve 4 objectives: sustain, prepare, reset, and transform. And the question, as the Chairman, I think, rightly outlined, is, does this budget request fail or succeed in the many choices that it had to make to support those efforts? And just let me tick off a few areas that I think we need to explore and obtain your opinions on. The fiscal year 2010 Army top-line request is advertised as being a rather significant 2.1% increase over 09. But that can be somewhat misleading, that when you add together the funding that was received in the past through supplementals and the drop-off as we migrate those supplementals into the base, it looks more like the fiscal year 2010 Army budget will be funded at something around $4 billion less than fiscal year 09. Secondly, those costs associated with end strength, the increases in reset, which are so important. Our men and women in uniform, the heart and soul, our efforts to grow this force that many on this committee, in fact, the vast majority of this committee have worked hard to achieve, has been funded through supplemental appropriations, approximately $20 billion a year. I support doing away the supplementals. I think the President and Secretary Gates have taken an important step forward, but as again we consider that migration into the base, the Army's budget and supplemental, now called the OCO, the Overseas Contingency Operation Account, doesn't appear to have increased accordingly. In fact, the fiscal year 2010 OCO funds reset at $11 billion. We have more forces going to Afghanistan and more equipment returning from Iraq, and yet reset is reduced by several billions of dollars. In that same vein, procurement accounts for the Army, not including JIDO, the Joint IED Defeat Organization, in the past were funded at some $61 billion in 08, $37 billion in 09, yet the request for fiscal year 2010 totals about $30 billion. I remember very clearly, Mr. Chairman, and you may recall as well, that then Chief of Staff General Schoomaker coming to this very room and telling us the Army entered the post-9/11 world with a $56 billion procurement shortfall. He called it holes in the yard. And the question, therefore, is pretty simple. Does this budget signal the start of yet another procurement holiday, or does it represent an equitable balance of hard choices? Just a couple other areas of concern. Army R&D accounts were funded at $12 billion in 08 and 09, yet the 2010 request has been decreased to $10 billion. And while the President and Secretary of Defense have said they support the Army's plan to grow the force, something I credit the President with is putting into one of the highlights of his proposal a 2.1% increase when adjusted for inflation causes me some concern that the Army might have to pay for much of this increase out of hide. And lastly, before the QDR, the Quadrennial Defense Review, has really even begun, a decision has been made, as the Chairman referenced, to cut projected Army force structure by 3 BCTs. Was this a cut, again, as a matter of hard choices on balance, or was it what I fear, I'll rephrase, I hope it is not, and that is a lack of commitment to growing the force. And Chief, you and I have talked about this, and I think it's important for you to have your views placed on the record. I think they're enlightening. So in conclusion, gentlemen, we look forward to your comments. All of us stand together as one team. That's the pride of our nation's military forces, and it's also, frankly, the pride of this committee, that we work in ways that, for all the differences we might bring to the table, we understand our unified commitment has to be to those men and women in uniform that serve us so bravely. So again, gentlemen, thank you for all you do.